Okay, good afternoon, good morning, good evening from any part of the world that you're joining me from today. Um, yeah, so today I want to talk about business analysis. And listen, this is a very interesting area for me because I kind of enjoy teaching and coaching and mentoring um, in this space when it comes to business analysis and agile. Um, yeah, it's kind of business is kind of right there, uh, close to my heart. And yeah, the topic I want to talk about today it's an interesting one, and I'll tell you why it's come about as a result of some of the really interesting conversations that I have been sort of having over the past few weeks with some of my mentees, and so also some of the consultants that I work with, on different projects on day-to-day basis, and is around how the practice or the discipline of a business analyst is kind of being, is sort of getting sliced or being chipped away or being, caught in many different directions. Um, and yeah, it begs the question, for people who are like aspiring to become business analysts, like what exactly is that the right thing to do? Is that the right career move? Is that the right? I mean, are there opportunities still in this space? Um, or for people who are practicing business analyst already, questions like what is the next career move? What should I be doing? Where should I be going? Is that you know where's this taking me to basically? So I thought, why don't we talk about it? You know let's have a conversation, and I hope you have fun listening to that. I hope you enjoy this as I've really enjoyed trying to put it together. So yeah, the topic is business analysis is not dead. Yeah, I said it. It's not dead. Um, I've researched on the internet, looked for a lot of material to back up what my topic is. I couldn't get or place my hands on a lot, but I've had to put together some resources based on some of my research and so also some of my own personal experiences coaching and working um, as a business analyst and also as a consultant with different clients. So yeah, let's get straight into it. A little bit about myself for those who do not know me, or if today's you're meeting me for the first time. I'm a digital transformation expert and a change catalyst. I enjoy working at different levels of organization to facilitate change, especially within the digital transformation space. I am quite passionate about leadership, product strategy, and tech. Yeah. In my current role, I serve clients via partnerships and collaboration. So we build relationships to facilitate change and support our clients in helping them to drive um, their success initiatives. I'm the head of products at Waymaker Digital, and yes, in 2015, I actually created the Agile Business Analyst Bootcamp. So you can see where the love for business analysis has emanated or taken me to. I am an entrepreneur and a business investor. That's work in progress. And I'm aspiring to become an inspirational influencer. So I want to influence, for change, for good. And that's something I'm really looking forward to and aspiring to do. Um, about Waymaker Digital, our capabilities, for those who don't know, we provide services around digital transformation projects, software projects, whether you need Scrum Masters or business analysts or user researchers and designers or developers. Yeah, just reach out and we'll be able to look at your project, see how we can help, and deploy as quickly as we possibly can. Right. So introductions out of the way. I want to spend, some time to actually talk about the business analysis function. When I say business analysis function, not so much to define, what business analysis is, because probably, maybe do that towards the end at some point, but kind of talk about some of the background and the purpose or the origins, of the business analysis function, or as a practice or profession. I haven't used the word profession here because I think that it's a profession, yes, officially, but because it's not as recognized, so to speak, uh, and you see what I'm saying further down the line. I've used the word function here because yes, it's recognized as a practice, as a discipline, as a profession, so to speak. But there's also a lot of gaps when it comes to things like when you compare business analytics practices like UX design or practices like web development even. There's a lot of gray areas. So yeah, I've used the word function there. But essentially, without um, talking too much, the origins or the practice of business analysis has emerged because people do not talk to one another. Yeah, you software developers with project managers with business stakeholders and customers and their users. People don't talk, and essentially what happens is there's a gap in that. There's a communication gap. There's a gap that occurs because people don't actually share ideas and share thoughts, and that gap creates failures in projects. And that is exactly one of the things that's one of the major reason why the business analysis function has come to fill in that gap to connect the dots. And you see why I'm saying this. Software engineers or developers are people of focus, especially when it comes to like solving complex problems. A developer, when it needs to solve complex problems, a programmer is just focused. They are committed to that thing that they're trying to do. And when it comes to doing things like analysis or specification or even documentation, that is a no-no. When you ask developers, they need to clarify things or document things. They don't want to do that. They have that perfect solution in their minds, in their heads, and they think that any further conversation or discussion is basically going to mess up, that idea, that precious idea they're nurturing in their minds. And I think that's just the nature of programming. That's just the nature of web development. And the thing is, I've been based on my own experience working with a lot of developers, and this is not having a dig at developers. I think it's just the nature of the work. When developers are focused on one thing, you don't want to like pull them out because they don't even want to do things like documentation or writing things down properly. And even when they do, those things become like their own, the things that they've written down for themselves, not for any other person to to use or to consume or to use. So that is not um, really helpful, for example, for customers or clients who actually want to work with these developers. The other thing is, like I said, when developers write things down, they are not self-explanatory. Like they're not written in like a business or customer language. Developers will write things down just for their own, on their own understanding, for their own purposes, which is there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And the thing is that nobody understands their documentation because they're not self-explanatory. They're not written in a way that a layman or a business person or a customer will understand it. There's no context. They're not even written to be understood by human beings. Talk less of stakeholders. Yeah. So these are the things that tend to happen quite a lot, and you realize that there is a need for someone to help bridge that gap. And finally, then there's this perception that programmers should actually do nothing else than writing code. I mean, I have seen project managers, so to speak. I'm looking at you here, project managers, who believe that you're wasting money, you are burning money if you are making developers to document or to write specifications or to do any form of analysis whatsoever. The only thing you want developer, the best use of money, of resources, is for developers to write code, and that's it. Anything other than that is seen as as a waste of money. And the other thing to bear in mind is that a lot of developers do not even have interest in clarifying or documenting stuff. Even if they have the interest, they don't have the time. Good developers, they are busy. Good developers are, you know, they have a lot on their hands such that they don't even have time to devote to writing or documenting stuff or clarifying or refining requirements with customers and with stakeholders. So there is the other side of the spectrum, yeah, and that other side of spectrums, this is where the business, the customer or the stakeholders, they speak their own language as well. They speak the domain language. For example, if a customer works in banking or works in insurance, the banking mindset is what they have. The culture of banking is what they know. The terminology of banking is what they know. The processes of banking is what they know. And that is miles apart, differently from, programming, where the developers or the engineers live. So that software development mindset, or that technology, so to speak, mindset is missing. The software development knowledge is missing. The terminology is not there. So, and that creates a huge gap. And this is where the business analyst comes in. And the primary role of the business analyst, to figure out, work with this customer to figure out what exactly it is the customer is trying to do, what they're trying to express, what is on their mind, and this requires a lot of intuition, stakeholder management, empathy, and also patient, incredible amount of patience, and trying out different ways to get answers out of customers or stakeholders who most of the time do not even know what they want. Yeah. And I've put this one here and saying business analysts actually do not only function as translators between, software world and the business world. They actually help customers to discover their own needs as well. So customers have like ideas in their minds. They have, little dots of, potential issues or solutions, even things they want to do. The needs they have is in their head, and they can tell you something when they feel uncomfortable or something is not right, but they don't know exactly what it is they want. That might not even be the real issue. So the business analysts actually need to work with them, work with customers, work with stakeholders to help them figure it out. Yeah. So that's the job. That's a huge amount of effort required to help customers. And so most of the time, it's a journey. Because it starts from building a relationship, building rapport, understanding the people you're working with, managing their expectations, and also building relationship with them in such a way that when you're working with them, you help them to not just write or capture what it is they're saying, but also help them to discover their own needs by doing a lot of root cause analysis and asking why and all that kind of stuff. It is important that this discovery process is why business analysis actually has become really, really important, because there's a huge gap between what the customer needs and also and the development team. So this is the gap, of course, essentially, that business analysts try to fill. So that gives, just to give, I've said all that just to give an idea or to give some context as to how the role of the business analyst has sort of emerged and evolved over the years. Yeah. And now you see where and how or the role or the value that the business analyst brings to the table when it comes to software development or engineering or solutions design. All right. A quick plug here. If you have business analysis needs, if you're a startup or you're a medium-sized organization or whatever it is you do, and you have need for business analysis, whether it is related to software or not even related to software, whether it's to process modeling, trying to streamline some of your business processes and make things work, you can actually send an email to contact@waymakerdigital.com, Our professionals, we are really, really good at this. We've been doing this for decades, and we have keen eyes for user satisfaction to make sure you're happy and your customers are happy, and we ensure your projects get delivered on time, even with a limited budget, and of course, to avoid cost of rework and loss of business reputation for yourself. So this is what we do. So please reach out, send an email, and or actually even just send me a DM. I'm sure I'll be able to put in touch and get things moving quite quickly. All right, moving on. Now we've covered the sort of origins and the purpose, so to speak, the why, or the we've identified that there's a gap there between the development team and also what the customers are trying to achieve, and that's the thing, that's the role, that's the gap that the business analyst function is trying to fill. Um, However, there's an identity crisis for business analysts, and it's a real one. And I say this because business analysts need to speak languages, they need to understand software development. There's a bit of psychology involved, there's communication skills involved, there's stakeholder management involved, there's a negotiation involved, there's prioritization. There's so many things involved in that, in that business analysis space. So it's pretty much huge, and there's really no specialization, so to speak. In fact, I was saying earlier, I don't know if you missed the start at the beginning. I mentioned there's really no degree, so to say. There's no degree, there's no formal degree for business analysis. So you can't go to school and say you want to study business analysis. Well, I've not found any so far. Yes, there are there are a few certifications. I think there's some BCS, has some, IBA has a few, and a few other bodies like that who provide, like, certifications and some postgraduate programs. But really, that's not the point for today. But essentially, there's a huge crisis, identity crisis rather, for business analysts, because it's a role that you need to have multiple skill set that cut across different spectrums in order to be able to function as a business analyst. And a lot of business analysts, they don't even have IT background. They work in different business domains, and then their technical knowledge is also very diverse. So business analysts have this real identity crisis, and this is the point of my talk today. The other thing to bear in mind is that, based on my personal experience and working over the years in this space, business analysis is hard to teach. I mean, it's even harder to define. I mean, there's that you can find dictionary definitions and whatnot of business analysis, but because it's so hard to teach and it's so hard to define, there are no clear boundaries. So most of the time, based on my own experience and working with a lot of people, your role or your deliverable, or what you do, is actually a function of what your project is about. So or how you have been sold to your client, if you're a consultant. So you tend to hear business analysts doing um, having multiple, they have different tool sets and different ways of doing things. But essentially, because the role is quite diverse, you have to find yourself wearing multiple hats at different times and trying to do multiple things. The identity crisis is always there. There will be a time the business analyst is the requirements engineer, or at some point they will be the systems analyst, which is another confusing area. But because there's a huge, there's a thin borderline between those. Sometimes you are the consultant, sometimes you are the process analyst. So there's that identity, and sometimes it feels like the job of a business analyst is the profession is simply depends on how the business analyst has been, sold to the client, or being sold to the project. And at the end of the day, because there's no clear boundaries, if something has no clear boundaries, it's difficult and it's very easy. It's a very easy target. Yeah. For example, you realize that in this time, in the time that we are now, there are a lot of roles that have taken some parts slices of business analysis, and I've taken it. So an example, for example, is that of UX designers, user researcher. If in order to do UX design evolved over the past 10, 15 years as a result of Agile. And in other words, UX designers, basically, what do? They define user groups, they define personas. User UX designers will conduct interviews, test solutions, and collect feedback. Yeah. In other words, the UX designer will collect requirements, specify screens, UI screens, and make interaction designs according to, like, the business or the customer, or the business needs, or the user needs. So if you're working as a business analyst, you realize that you find yourself and your role or your job overlapping a lot with that of UX designers, and even sometimes you do things that if you don't clearly define your roles and responsibilities, you can find yourself doing things that the UX designer can tell you that no, don't worry about that. That's something I should be doing, or even you feeling that the UX designer is kind of encroaching in your space. So there's a lot of overlaps. Even user researchers now, part of the role of user researchers is now very customer facing. So that's taking away some slides of that role of a business analyst. Now, the interesting thing that you realize is that all of these roles I've mentioned, UX designers, user researchers, testers, architects, process engineers, they all collect and analyze and document requirements, but they all do it from their own perspective. So what happens is this creates a lot of overlaps, and also slicing the business analysis pie further. You know, and like I said, it's quite interesting because it's important for business analysts who are practicing to have this awareness and have this knowledge and have the maturity to understand how the profession of business analysis has evolved over the years, and where it is that profession is at the moment. I coach a number of business analysts who come to me with questions or issues that relates to things like overlap. Yeah. For example, I mean, I'll get to that in a moment, but for example, you realize people talking about things like, oh, I'm supposed to be documenting requirements, but I find my product owner writing user stories or editing my stories. Or how does that work? Who's supposed to be doing that? So this is what we're talking about here today, and it's interesting, and I think it's important for business analysts to actually understand how this role has evolved over the years in order to be able to handle and deal, with this sort of scenarios. Now, as I said, all those roles and some of those functions have kind of taken some chunks out of the business analysis role. But then Agile came, and Scrum actually redefined business analysis. Yeah, Scrum redefined. In fact, Scrum believes in non-hierarchical, cross-functional, in self-organizing teams where there is no manager. Everybody is a bit of a leader, a manager, and a bit of a business analyst as well. So everybody does little bits of everything, and in addition to their own specialty, or in addition to their discipline. For example, the role of a project manager in Scrum was actually dissolved, and actually distributed. The project manager tasks, so to speak, is distributed between the Scrum team members and the Scrum master and the product owner. So in Agile, in Scrum, for example, there's no project manager. Of course, you still find some companies that are still on the journey where you have Scrum teams, and then those Scrum teams, you have project managers. But that's a separate conversation we'll have another time. But yeah, if you see where I'm coming from, by the books, yeah. Ideally, in the way it should be, Scrum dissolves that role of a project manager. Nothing like that. Even the role of a business analyst is actually dissolved and replaced with that of a product owner. Yeah. So in this role, the product owner is not only responsible for collecting requirements, the product owner is actually also responsible for the big picture. Yeah. Understanding what brings value. Yeah. planning the roadmap, and even prioritizing requirements and user stories, and maintaining and communicating, the vision to the team and to relevant stakeholders. And this is something that a business analyst would, ideally would be doing in the conventional world. So that role is actually dissolved. But yes, even if you can still have the role of a business analyst in that Scrum team, but essentially doing business analysis at that lower level, yeah, feeding into the role of the product owner. Now, this is as a result of a massive shift from project mindset to product mindset. Yeah. So it is much more than just business analysis. It really means that as a product owner, you own the product. So business analysis is just you know, a tiny bit of what you do. And then you can still have business analysts in the team, like I said, and you can delegate some of the tasks to the business analyst within the Scrum team. So if Scrum has also dissolve that role of business analysis a little bit, I find a lot of business analysts also struggle with this. They struggle with this. And the question they ask themselves is, okay, where do I fit within the Agile Scrum framework? Yes, the answer is that as a business analyst, you are part of the Scrum team. Yeah, you play that role by wearing the heart of supporting the product owner, facilitating requirements, and helping to maintain the backlog, keeping that close connection between the business or the product vision and the technical delivery. However, in terms of growth path or a career path, you might as well, you can wear the heart of the product owner as well, because that role is the closest to that of the product owner in the Scrum team. But essentially, that's a massive move to into product mindset, and that actually has created another massive shift in for business analysis, for the business analysis function. All right, but the long and short of this is that the business analysis function is not dead, at least not yet. And I'm not forecasting that it's going to die. I'm getting somewhere, and what I'm trying to say is that there are still opportunities there, especially as a lot of companies are still sort of on the journey. So you find the business analysis, the core business analysis, you find it in more big organizational, big IT companies like the IBMs and the Accentures, where they still deal with massive, complex software projects. Yeah. So business analysis will surely survive as a function within those organizations where the agile footing is not yet, is not yet strong, or they're still on that journey. All right. So business analysis is not dead. For those who might, so this is just a quick one as well. If you're aspiring to become a business analyst, I created this program called Momentum. The website is Momentum by Waymaker Digital. Now, this is a digital career acceleration program for freshers, newbies, or people who are trying to, change careers. So there's quite a number of things there. The reason why I've created this is because I have coached and mentored a lot of consultants or business analysts and user researchers, designers, developers over the years, and I've found that you get more value from mentoring, from coaching, than from just training or getting qualifications and certifications. Yes, there is certifications and online training and everything involved in Momentum, but you also get things like work shadowing, where you shadow and work with the product team on a day-to-day basis, daily calls and everything else that you get involved with, project work participation. You get a personalized roadmap tailored for you to help you manage and provide that accountability. You get one-to-one coaching directly with myself, a member of my coaching team, and mentoring. Of course, you get involved in all the agile ceremonies. You get a CV branding and LinkedIn optimization, and you get access to like software tools that you also we have to work with to provide you that level of confidence and assurance that you know what you're doing and you're not just getting certified, but you're actually able to walk the talk. So check it out, Momentum by waymakerdigital.com, and sign up or reach out if you have any questions. Okay. So, like I said, there's still the role of the business analyst is not dead. There's a lot of opportunities there. I've put some very few reasons why you can still you want to become a business analyst. You should consider it strongly, because the career path is really strong, and if you enjoy helping to drive change, supporting organization success through insights, through data. You help to address new challenges on a daily basis. You enjoy helping people, asking questions, solving problems, working independently. This is a really good space for you to come and work. The roles and responsibility is quite diverse. Sometimes it's very fluid depending on what it is you're trying to do. And the career path is quite good. You can, like I said, in a conventional way, you can move from a junior business analyst to a senior business analyst to a business architect. Even in the agile world, you probably will be moving towards becoming a product owner, and then from there becoming an agile consultant and climbing the, or you can even go tech. You can become a solution architect. Now business analysis requires some new skills, which I'll mention in a minute. So there's increasing demand as well. So, and the pay is good. It's good money. So, and you build transferable skills and knowledge. That's what I found really, very striking about the function of business analyst. And you find yourself helping others. You're naturally solving problems for people. If for practicing business analyst, for those who are already working, it's important that you start thinking about how to level up your skills. Like I said, business analysis is not dead. However, it's important that you are aware that there are naturally new skills that you need to add to your feathers in order to be relevant, to remain relevant in the future. Some of them include analytical skills. Those are the BA skills we mentioned. Negotiation. If you don't have negotiation skills, you need to go hone up on those. Quickly build up, learn, do some training in terms of how to negotiate. SQL table, because now we're talking about there's a lot of work around data. So having the knowledge of SQL and relational databases it will really help you. Also learn skills like data visualization. There are many tools out there that you can learn. Google Data Studio is free. Power BI is free. Tableau, ClickView. Pick one of these and try your hands on them. Get training on them. If you need help, please reach out and we can always give you support. A few other soft skills that I believe is important for practicing business analysts to own or build on communication skills. You improve your communication skills, your presentation skills, your engagement skills, being able to speak and engage with senior stakeholders, at the same time being able to come and deal with people who are at the lower ranks of the organization without necessarily troubling the waters. It's really, really important to be able to do these things. Facilitation, leadership and management skills. Get training around your leadership skills and improve your domain knowledge. The world we're going, excuse me, so each my throat. The future of work now is important to have core domain knowledge. Whether you want to pick a domain, it's blockchain technology, or whether it's artificial intelligence, machine learning. Pick a domain and master it. It's really, really going to help you as a business analyst. And if you're starting out afresh as a business analyst, my DM is open. Like I said, please reach out, send me a DM, and I'll be able to help you. Yeah, and that's the end of my talk today. If you have any suggestions or something you'd like me to discuss next, please drop it in the comments and I'll be able to share. And of course, reach out to us again if you have any questions. Thank you so much for listening. Bye for now.